have Sumitra talk first, and we'll give 20 minutes for the participants to talk to us.
Thank you so much for all the lovely words, Yashoda. Angikam bhuvanam yasya vachikam sarvabangmayam aharyam chandra tarathi tam vande satvikam sivam. Namaste to everyone. And I profoundly thank the authorities of Aria University and the Department of Kuchipudi for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present a paper in this webinar series. When we look at the Parameshwara's names, we often keep hearing the primordial god as Shiva, Ishvara, Isana, Maheshwara, so on and so on. So the names are endless. But when we think of the Vedic names of God Shiva, we keep hearing about Pasupati and other names, but not the term Nataraja, right? Yet we see that the dance of Shiva, the timeless dance of creation and destruction and the cosmic rhythm of existence, finds its own embodiment in the iconic image of Nataraja, the Lord of Dance, within Hindu art and philosophy. The Nataraja image has captivated the imagination of artists, scholars, and the devotees for centuries, evolving in its iconography, influencing the architectural marvels of various dynasties, and embodying profound spiritual symbolism. This presentation embarks on a journey through the time and culture to explore the evolution of the dancing sculptures of Shiva, focusing on the Nataraja icon, its depiction across the different eras, and the architectural marvels that house it. Okay. So before I make my presentation, I would like to make a few disclaimers. One is, for my smooth presentation, I will first discuss about the stone sculptures, and then move on to the bronze figures. And I took a few of the images from South India out of the hundreds of the available Nataraja images throughout India. Though I try to arrange all these images in a chronological order, but here and there, for the convenience of my presentation, probably I might go front and back. Kindly excuse me. And the final one is the Agama conception of Nataraja, the artistic representation, the historic perception, and the Silpa Sastra depictions always complement the Nataraja image. And for our convenience, I am presenting it from the dance community's view. Okay, with this, I would like to start my presentation. So to understand the early depictions of Nataraja, when we think of Shiva as Nataraja, the cosmic dancer, we often picture the iconic image that became widely known much later. But interestingly, this wasn't the earliest way Shiva was portrayed in a dancing form. In fact, artists across the Indian subcontinent had seen sculpting images of dancing Shiva since as early as the 5th century AD. Some of the earliest known examples come from the Deccan region, and if you visit Badami Cave 1 or the Ravanapindi Cave at Aihole, Pattadigal, all these areas, in a you will find the striking 6th century carvings of Shiva in a very dynamic poses. These early versions often show him with 8 to 16 arms, probably, right, performing his dance on the top of a platform. He's not alone either. Look closely, you will see him accompanied by figures like Ganesha, Kartikeya, Saptamatrikas, and sometimes with goddess Parvati. The dancing sculptures from Elephanta caves depict the formative structures of the sculptures of Nataraja. Some of the poses from the Karanas depicted in Bharata's Natya Shastra, such as Bhujangatrasita, Ganga Avatarana, and several other, can be found in these caves. Moving further south, around the region of Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, more depictions of dancing Shiva emerged during the Pallava dynasty, which ruled from the 7th to 9th centuries. These sculptures mark an essential phase in the evolution of what we would eventually become the classical Nataraja form that we celebrate today. It is observed that in some sculptures, Shiva...
1 second, Sumi. Yeah. Are you changing the slides? You have to do the slideshow.
I know. So, yeah, but before that,
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Because
can you see the Nataraja image?
yes, now.
So, meanwhile, I'll be giving you the information about the evolution. I want others to go through the description that's given here. Okay. Yeah. So let's now turn on to the remarkable chapter of Chola's contribution to the bronze figures. Okay, moving further south around the region of Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, more depictions of dancing Shiva emerged during the Pallava dynasty. Okay, it is observed that sculptures of Shiva dancing in a sabha. Scholars call it as a different names, Chit Sabha, Surya Mandala, because Surya being the primordial source of energy, and of course we also call it as functioning of Shiva. So he's shown in a Surya Mandala. Later we call it as the Prabha Mandala, Agni Mandala. Today we talk about that Prabha Mandala. When we talk about the evolution of bronze art into the Chola period, you know, the evolution of bronze sculpture in South India, the tradition began to take shape during the late Pallava period in the 8th and 9th centuries, but it truly blossomed under the Chola dynasty, reaching its zenith between 10th and 12th centuries. One of the most influential figures in this cultural renaissance was Queen Sembian Mahadevi, a widowed Chola queen, for her deep devotion and generous patronage of the temple arts. Her support played a pivotal role in nurturing and expanding the artistic landscape of the time. Among the many masterpieces of this period, the bronze image of Nataraja, Shiva as cosmic dancer, holds a special place. This form is not just visually stunning, it represents one of the Chola's greatest contribution to Indian art and spiritual thought. So these bronze sculptures are extraordinary and they adhere to the Silpasastras, the ancient treatises on art and sculpture. Every element, the proportions, the posture, the ornaments, the mudras, the bhavas are meticulously designed. These are not merely aesthetic choices, they are deeply symbolic and spiritually charged, crafted with both technical mastery and the devotional intent. The Chola artisans were truly master craftsmen and they brought Shiva's dance into life in bronze and stone. These images were full of grace and dynamism. Shiva caught mid-dance encircled by a ring of fire that symbolizes the endless cycle of creation. That's what you are seeing in the visual now, right? Standing on Apasmara and everything. This artistic legacy wasn't limited to sculpture alone. The Cholas were equally ambitious with temple architecture, and they made sure that the image of Nataraja held a central place in these sacred places. Take, for example, the magnificent Brihadiswara temple in Tanjavur, built during the reign of Rajaraja Chola. It's not just an architectural marvel, it's a living gallery. Nataraja is carved into the very walls, becoming one of the temple's spiritual and artistic narrative. Another extraordinary example is the Chidambaram Nataraja's temple, a deeply revered site that does more than house a duty. It embodies a cosmological vision. Here, the sanctum that enshrines Nataraja is symbolic of cosmos itself. It's Shiva's dance. It isn't just taking the place in the temple, it's unfolding across the universe. What's fascinating is how this iconography continued to inspire the later dynasties. The Hoysalas ruling in the Deccan region took the Nataraja image and added layers of intricate detail reflecting their love for elaborate lace like stonework. That you will be looking shortly. And when we talk about the evolving Nataraja, not just a work of art, but as a profound spiritual symbol that transcended dynasties, uniting them in a shared cultural and devotional vision. Now, as we all know, Shiva is worshipped in the Panchabhutas like Linga, Akasha, Vayu, Apa, Bhumi, and Agni, with his Panchakriyas, Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Anugraha, and Tirobhava, and Panchamukhas like Satyodata, Vamadeva, Aghora, Tatpurusha, Ishana, and so many legends and stories and stotras that were written by the scholars and the Tamil literature also contributed to the evolving architecture of the Nataraja. Now, some of the earlier textual references for this is the mainly two key texts, Anshumar Beda Agama and Uttarakamika Agama, mention Shiva's dance in great detail. Okay. I am skipping some of the information so that you all can. Okay. What's remarkable here is how the Agamas don't just describe an image, but they provide a blueprint for the spiritual and artistic expression. So they provide a blueprint for the spiritual and artistic expression. These prescriptions would later inform the sculptors and dancers who brought the Nataraja form into life in stone, bronze, and of course, performance. So with this introductory words, I would like to start my PPT. But before that, I want all of you to observe the differences, additions, and omissions in the images. And basically, the observations may include aspects like the Ganga, the moon, crescent, the number of arms, the weapons, ornaments, raised leg, Apasmara's position, clothing of Shiva, hair locks, Jatamakuta, mudras, hastas, Prabhamandala, position of Dhamaru and Agni, embellishments to the sculpture, Purna Kumbha, orchestra. There are so many things that were added into the sculptures. All right, let's take a close look at all these images together and see if you can spot a few interesting details along with me. Okay, so this is the early dancing Shiva's image from 2nd and 4th century from Odisha, and this is given by Shatrubhanja dynasty, and this is the earliest description of dancing Shiva with an inscription. This is more interesting actually. Okay, the earliest description with 8 arms and also playing a veena. You can see Shiva is playing also a veena here. A dancing Shiva from Ambari, Gauhati. At present, it is located in a museum in Gauhati. And you can look at the number of arms, almost 12 arms. And you can see Shiva is dancing on Nandi and Brungi to the left. Okay, and we also have a sword and the shield and a knife and other things he's holding. And you can see here, this is from Orissa, from Rameshwara temple. The most interesting temples from Odisha are Rameswara, Lakshmaneshwara, Bharateshwara, and Satyaghneshwara temples, where you will find the beautiful sculptures of dancing Shiva. And you can see also the beautiful bells here. And in the previous slides, you might have observed, we couldn't see the Gajahasta there. But here you can see the Gajahasta and the Abhayahasta. But the legs are not in the Nataraja position, what we see today, right? And this is Nataraja from the Gandeshwarnath temple, Sirpur, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, between 8th and 9th centuries. And this is a sandstone sculpture. And you cannot find Apasmara here. And this is called as a Chaturamurti. Whenever you see hand to the left side and the leg position with the Sama and the Kunchita Pada, this particular position is called as Chaturamurti. And you can see no undergarment, no garment underneath the waist part. This is another style of projection. Here you can see a raised leg, what we see in Nataraja pose today, but the left hand is again Dolahasta, but not the Dandahasta. You can see the Stitapada. Agnipatra is to the right, and he is holding an axe in his left hand. And you can see the Jatamakuta, and we have a percussion instrument being played by a woman. And you can see the hair strands flying in the air. Okay. And you can also see a serpent, but no Apasmara is found in this sculpture. These are from the Ellora, built by the Rashtrakuta dynasty somewhere in 7th century AD. One thing one has to remember, that whatever, whomever the demon that we see under the feet of Lord Shiva, dancing Shiva, need not be an Apasmara. So we find a different kind of demon on whom Shiva is dancing. We can see the features here. He is like a demon, like person, and this also with a different thing. Here we can see 8 arms, and here also we can see 8 arms. Okay, and you can see he is dancing in a sabha. Whenever you see 2 pillars next to Lord Shiva, you can see that, if you can remember what I said in my introductory word, this talks about the either Chit Sabha or the Surya Mandala where he is dancing. Yes, here you can see the proper Nataraja form with the Stitapada and the raised leg and the Dandahasta and Abhayhasta. And with the upper 2 arms, he is holding a snake. According to the Stapatis, this holding of snake, which gave a half curve, led to the Prabha Mandala, what we see today. So this is a gradual development, what we see. And here also we see Shiva is dancing on a Nandi. And he is holding Damaru to the right hand and Trishula in the left hand. And upper 2 hands are holding the snake. And you can also see orchestra people. And you can see here Nataraja dancing along with goddess Parvati. And this is from 4th century. And, you can see Nandi is present behind that one. And, Gajahasta and the Abhayhasta are present. And no ornaments, no much of ornaments. But you can see a beautiful cloth. Okay. And you can see the Vanki on his, Nagavanki to his arm, which is called as Dandavalaya. Okay, and you can also see a Kankana, right? This is from Chandhauri Stepwell, Abhaneri, Rajasthan, 8th and 9th centuries. The beauty of this sculpture is you can see the Purna Kumbhas. Since this is from a stepwell, Shiva is also referred to Ganges. He's having Ganga on his head. Hence, it is built in a stepwell. And you can see the Purna Kumbha so beautifully drawn either side of the pillars. And it's an 8-armed one again, holding different kinds of musical instruments and also weapons can be seen. And you can see a Rudrakshamala is being hung on his body right from right shoulder to the left shoulder. Okay, Apasmara's head is to the Nataraja's left. Nataraja's left. He is dancing in a mantapa or a chitsaba. Now moving on to the proper Nataraja sculpture. Initially, it was like, stepwell or on a wall. No, this is from Telangana, Nalgonda region, Pillalamari temple. And we find no Prabhavali, but yet this Stitapada we can see, and we can also see Apasmara. And Apasmara is holding a sword in his hand. You can see that. It's clearly visible. And in his left hand, Nataraja is holding a deer. And with his right hand, he's holding a Dhamaru. And no ornaments were drawn except the earrings you can see. And you can look at the different kind of crown. And this crown is supposed to be rooster feathers. Because when it comes to the Jatamakuta, each poet have described his Jatamakuta in different styles. Probably the early Basaveswara cult period must have influenced the Pillalamari temple sculptors. And that's the reason they went on this cock-like hairdo. Now, this is from Tamil Nadu, Chidambaram temple, which is built in 10th century. You can find no Prabhavali. And, there are different ganas depicted. And, you can see the ganas and the yakshas playing different kinds of musical instruments in the panel beneath the Nataraja sculpture. Okay. And you can also see Kali or Durga dancing next to Shiva. Ornamentation around the head, you can see it is called as Amalata leaves or the creepers. And the flower, what you can see in the crown, in the middle of the crown, that is called as a flower which is grown only in burial grounds. So he wears that flower and it's like an ornamentation in the rooster feathers, and a flower can be seen. I'll give you probably a closer look for that. See, you can see Amalata creepers and the leaves so beautifully carved around the thing. And this is the flower I'm talking about. And this is called as Jata Makuta. And you can see hair strands are going upwards. It's like a flying hair, right? So to depict the dynamism in the movement, So the dynamism in a sculpture, this is how the sculptors have chosen, like, the flying hair is the best example. So moving further down, sculptures of Nataraja at Srirangam and Tiruvankkal temple, Apasmara is shown with a sword and a shield. So if you can look at the Apasmara in the right side, you can find the Apasmara is with a sword and a shield in his hand. And the proper Nataraja image, what we see today with the Stitapada with the right and the left leg is raised, and the Dola or the Gajahasta, Abhayahasta, to the left the Agni, and to the right the Dhamaru, and the strands, and of course the Jata Makuta. Not much of ornamentation can be found. Only the anklets were shown here and there, and probably the design here can be understood that he's draped with a dhoti here. And this is the very, very rudimentary stage of Nataraja sculpture, probably placed in a niche area in the temple, and then later on to the main sanctum. This is from Chidambaram temple. Nataraja form is in a state of development, because when I said it's state of development because we don't find the Prabhavali yet, right? So we can't see the Prabhavali or the Agni, and no snakes are seen. Naturally, when you look at the present day Nataraja form, you will find a snake hanging from his waist part to the down, and you also see a hanging piece of a cloth to the left of his waist, right? So the left hand is aligned with the knee. Normally, some of the Nataraja sculptures, when you look at them, the Dola Hasta, the tips of the fingers would be joining the toes. So that is the perfect pose. But in this, you can see that the fingers are aligned with the knee. And this is how we have to look at the development of Nataraja image when we observe so closely. I'll tell you the reason in a couple of minutes. So this is also a dancing sculpture. Unfortunately, this is broken. You can't find the raised leg and also the Dola Hasta and the Abhay Hasta. This is very unfortunate. You can see in the Apasmara's position here. This is the reason I took this one. And you can see the flying hair. The hair strands are widespread here, right? And you can see the Agnipatra and the Dhamaru, Kativastra and the Prabhavali. You can see there is a Prabhavali with a small, tiny Agni here, right? And here you see the Prabhavali, but there is no Agni resemblance. Okay, but you can see the beautiful ornamentation here. The Kativalaya. This is called as Kativalaya. Udara Bandhana. Udara Bandhana is the one what he tied onto his stomach. So this is the beauty of it. And you can see the hairs are almost touching the Prabhavali. And you can see the shape of the Prabha Mandala here. It is not a circled one, but this is in a totally different shape. Now just wait for the Hoysala's sculpture, which is very, very, very stunningly beautiful. Wow. Wow. Look at that. See the intricate details that Hoysala sculptures do reveal about the entire thing. You can see that Nataraja is dancing in the Chitsabha. You can see the pillars. You can see the proper mantapa. And look at the position of Apasmara. He is also enjoying the dance of Shiva. And you can see the proper Nataraja image. I'm not giving the details of the proper image of Nataraja because in the very first slide, probably you must have watched it for a couple of minutes. And you can see two beautiful dancers also used as the pillars, to support the entire structure of the Prabha Mandala. But yet they're also playing two different musical instruments. One is on percussion and one is on, I think, the Shruti. And hair strands. And you can also see a simhasan kind of a thing. This is called as a Vyala. And later on, we are calling it as Yali. And most of the temples do have this Vyala symbol. Vyala is nothing but a combination of a lion and a snake. Okay, so snake represents Shiva, the lion represents a goddess, and both put together, it is called as Vyala. And we also have a Mudra Vyala. We also have a Hasta named after Vyala, right? And you can see the Prabha Mandala with a beautiful carving. I'm just pausing it here so that you can watch it. And you can see a chhatra kind of a thing. Chhatra is nothing but an umbrella. And chhatras were provided also to the two beautiful women. And you can also see Nandis were these supporting. They are like a scaffolding to the entire mantapa. Normally in the Natya Shastra also we find the yakshas are the bharavahakas. Bharavahakas are used as a scaffolding for Natya Mantapa. But here you see Nandis are the bharavahakas, the scaffolding of the entire Chitsabha. So this is the beautiful thought itself has frozen into the rock. And this is also another beautiful sculpture from the Pushpagiri temple, Kadapa, Andhra Pradesh from 12th century. And you can see the proper mantapa and again a beautiful depiction above the Nataraja. And you can also see the Prabha Mandala, the shape of a Prabha Mandala, which is so beautifully carved, and beneath you can see the Nandi. And this is the proper pillars on which you will find the Amalata creepers again, which symbolizes the Saivism. So Amalata creepers are part of Saivism. And here you can see the Kumbhas representing the Ganga. Okay. With this, I conclude the stone sculptures and moving on to the bronze images. And bronze images, yes, they didn't start with the Prabha Mandala and what we see Nataraja image today. But yeah, you can see it when I share this slide. So this is the, I don't say the first ever, but one of the bronze figures of Nataraja from 13th century. This belongs to 13th century. You can see the Apasmara's leg is raised and right one is, he is balancing with his left leg. And rest everything is the same. We can see the Gajahasta, Abhayahasta, and we don't see the hair strands flying in the air. You don't see the hair at all. But this is called as Jata Makuta. And we can see the Udarabandha. Udarabandha is the one, as I told you, tied to his stomach. So it is called as Udarabandha. An ornament around his stomach is called as Udarabandha. And we will not see the hanging snake, no hair locks, okay, and no Angavastram is flying in the air. Okay, the rooster feathers are shown on the head, and this is the Datura flower. You can see the Datura flower here, so beautifully depicted here. And you can see the crescent here. Okay. And this is also one of the earliest rudimentary sculpture of Nataraja belonging to 11th century. You can see the hair strands. And can you see what is this? This is nothing but Ganges, Ganga. This is the Ganga sitting on his hair. So the depiction of the hair itself is so beautifully done. As I was telling you, the literature itself gives us a lot of information. So when you think of Vishwanatha Ganga Taranga Ramaniya Jata Kalapam. So Ganga Taranga, when his entire hair is wet with the Ganga, so some of these sculptors thought that, it has to be onto his shoulders, not flying in the air when it is wet, right? So that kind of depiction we will see. And in a Ravanakrita Sivatandav Stotram Jata Kataha Sambhrama. So that one, each and every charanam starts with Jata Kataha. And even in Rudra Namakam and Chamakam, we keep hearing Vyoma Kesaya, Vyupta Kesaya. Vyoma Kesa is nothing but his keshas are spread all over the Vyoma, that is the Akasha. Right? So taking a cue from this literature, probably these people must have developed this kind of images. Apart from the Chola's image, the most interesting thing is the Pandya's Nataraja, which is very, very interesting. So this is a Pandya architecture. So Pandyas were interested in developing a Nataraja image, which is totally in contrast with the Cholas. So they depicted Shiva with a raised right leg instead of left leg. Okay, and they just made it everything opposite. Agni to the right and Damaru to the left. And similarly, Apasmara's head is also changed towards this one. Okay, the most important aspect in which the Pandya Nataraja differ from the Chola Nataraja is the leg, which is in a raised position. There is a legend connected to this pose, actually. Keeping in mind the time, I'm not telling you the legend. Actually, he dreamt it. Okay, and you can also see the difference in the hair strands. And here we don't see the rooster anymore. We see a proper crown. Okay, and this is the crown you can see. And of course, we have the Datura Pushpa. And this is the backside, the rear view of the figure. And Apasmara is holding a snake here, you can see. Look at the beautiful carving of the Vastra and the Yajnopavita. Right? Early stages of Nataraja image. You can see the hair here. And you can see the difference in the air and also the position in the Apasmara. The way he's sleeping and all. And this is another. So this is the wet hair dropping down all the way. And this is another style of depicting the hair strands. And you can see orchestra people. And look at the Apasmara here. Look at the hairdo. And the rooster feathers are placed here. Right? This is another hairstyle that we can see. The Prabha Mandala is there, but we can't find this Agni here. And look at the Amalata creepers were also taken into consideration while depicting the hair. And they have done this. And no snake can be seen and no Vastram can be found here. And no Ganges is also seen here, but you can see a snake here. Right? This is another Nataraja form. You can see orchestra people. Seated Apasmara. How beautiful is that? You can see a seated Apasmara here. This is from 12th century. Amalata creepers again. And you can see Ganges here with the folded hands. I don't know whether the image is clear for you or not, but here you can see Ganga is sitting with the folded hands here. And you can see the hair strands are also curved into a beautiful design. And then, no Angavastram is hanging from here, what we see today, and snake can be seen here. But here, no snake and no Vastram, but Amalata creepers are there, Dhamaru, Agnipatra, everything can be seen here. I thought of giving a lot of information about each and every slide, but keeping in view the time. And here you can see the Padmapitam, okay, and the Apasmara and the proper Nataraja image, what we see today. When we move back to the first image, what we see today, you can see the hanging cloth, hanging hair strands, the Gajahasta, Stitapada, everything what we described today. And this is what we see today as the proper Nataraja image. So it went through a lot of changes. In fact, I have 120 slides, and yesterday I tried to, confine it to 30 slides. But when we look at the entire development, everything, starting from hair strands to the Stitapada, and every nuance and 108 Karanas, of course, that's about the dancing Shiva, but exclusively Nataraja images, bronze images are thousands of images with different kinds of exhibition are available in the history, right? So I take this opportunity to thank Sthapatis like Shivanagareddy Garu and Madhusudan Garu, and of course Ramya and several other people who have helped me in gathering all these images. And some I have taken from online, no doubt about it. Some of the pictures are from my own library. And some, of course, I have been collecting from ASI, Archaeological Society of India, and Archaeological Department of both Andhra and Telangana. And I profoundly thank all of them for helping me in gathering all these images. With this, I conclude my today's presentation. And thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much, Sumi. We'll now go to Chandrakant, who will talk of Laya of Shiva. Laya of the human Laya, basically, which comes from there. We leave the floor to you, Chandrakant.
Namaskaram, everyone. Am I audible? Okay. Continuation with Sumitra Garu for the wonderful presentation. The connection of Nataraja to the Laya. We say Srutin Mata Laya Pita. That is one connection. And also we have a slokam called Takarasya Sankara Prokto Lakarasya Sikti Ruchyate. Sivasekti Samayoga Talanama Vidiyate. So the name Talam itself has Shiva in it. So in continuation with that, we'll move on to the topic called Talam. So basically talking about Talam, we have a slokam called Gita Pradhanam, Nitya Pradhanam Gitam, Gita Pradhanam Vadyam, Gitasya Vadyasya Pradhanam Talam. There is one slokam called which says the importance of Talam to the dance or to the music. We dance to music generally. If I have to say, if we are watching dance without music, that doesn't sound. That doesn't mean anything. So, base of dance and music is the talam. And talking about the talam today, in Kuchipudi perspective, in the sense, basically I'm a mridangist, so I can talk about Carnatic music as well. But in perspective of Kuchipudi, I was given to talk about the Talam. Kuchipudi has basically a vast structural base of syllables, which are called padakattu. In Telugu, we call them as padakattu. They were generally imbibed and presented to us at the basic level. For example, if I have to say, we start with basic steps as tam, digi digi ta, tatta hatta te, kitatagatam, digi digi ta, tatta hatta te. Generally, we don't find all these things in other dance forms where we say Adavus called as takka, dhimmi, takka, jannu, or tam, tatte. These are all the things we find, but tam, digi digi ta, tatta hattatte, we don't find it anywhere. Probably I didn't find it anywhere. Also, we have a lot of things like that. The nadakas, probably, if I have to say, tan, dhanna, dhinna, dhanna, dhanna, dhinna. Tei ta kitta taka tajam tatom. Ta kitta taka tajam tatom. To dhimmita. Tadhin takka to dhimmi. So these are all the syllables that are presented to us at the basic level, where we are not looking at them as if they are something else. So dim digitaka doddo dinda. One more point to mention here is the elders have given us all the information about different aspects of Talam at the basic level itself. Ante we have Chatrasam steps, we have Tisram steps, we have Khandam steps, we have Mishram steps, we have Sankirnam steps. And these are all the different aspects of Talam where we are given easily. And at the same time, they are also given at the Jatis level also. So the analyzation of these basic steps and Jatis gives an overview of Kuchipudi dance. Or else I can say the detailing of, like Sumitra Garu said, the Hoysalas Nataraja statue. So the detailing of all these things gives us all the knowledge of Kuchipudi, basically the Talam. So if I have to say to dhimmita, tadin takka, to dhimmita, tadin takka. So it might have been taka takita, taka takita, taka takita, taka takita. It would have been that thing, but they have presented it to us in such a way that is beautifully articulated. The to dhimmita, it blends to the step as well. Same way, tom tata, tom tadhi. It might have been Mishram or it might have been Chatusram also. See, the count differs. In the sense, tom tatha, tom tadhi, tom tata, tom tadhi. It is looking as if it is 7. Taka dhimmi takita, taka dhimmi takita, tom tata, tom tadhi is 7. Or if I say tom tatha, tom tadhi, tom tatha, tom tadhi, that becomes 8. Taka dhimmi taka jandu, tom tatha, tom tadhi, tom tatha, that becomes 8 as well. So the analyzation of all these things or how to depict all these things is the point that we have to learn. This is about the basic steps that we have been given, or the basic syllables that we have been given at the steps level. And moving on to the jatis also, I didn't find that anywhere in other dance forms where they have presented 21 jatis for us. 21 jatis are not the normal thing to present. Basically, at the Chaturasram level, also they have depicted different tempos in the jatis. Like for example, if you if we have if we take first half jatis, first half Chaturasram jatis, we have 11 jatis where the first 6 jatis will be in some one tempo and the other 6 jatis will be in other tempo. For example, if you have go from Talangutom, the first jati, Talangutom, Takata Dikinatom, Talangutom, Takata Dikinatom, you can go on with the same tempo till the 6th jati. Ditta, Dimita, Gita Takatom, Dikatom, Digi Takato, Takatom, Dikato, did Dinakataka, did Dinakataka, Tadhana, Tachendu, Tadimi, till this jati, you can go on till this tempo. And then if you move on to the other jatis, we will move on to the faster tempo where the tempo rises. See, the tempo rises as well. The other half of the jatis have been given with a different tempo. And to analyze all these things, we have different types of songs, different tempos of songs. Which song suits which jati? And they have given us all the examples of this jati. For example, if I have to say, I have a problem to solve in mathematics, what I will do generally, I will go to textbook for an example to have or to solve that problem. If I have an example, I can take that thing, take it as a reference and then solve my other problems also. The same way they have given us all the examples of different kinds of different tempos of jatis, where I would find different songs to match the jatis also, and also different flavors to find the jatis. To be more precise, if I have to say, if I have to go in detail also, first few jatis are just simple as that. Any layman can just to connect. In the sense, talangutom, takata diginatom, talangutom, takata diginatom, talangutom, taka diki, takata diginatom, taka diki, takata diginatom, taka diki, takata diginatom. That is just a simple wordings and just simple nuances of the talam. It is nothing complicated, or there is nothing more than what the syllables are. But if you move on to the second half of the first half jatis, in the sense, after this Tangurtonga Dikitaka, from starting with Tangurtonga Dikitaka, we have a lot of syllables imbibed. At the same time, the flow is going on, connecting to the dance as well. If you take for example that Tangurtonga Jiki Jakajati itself. Tangurtonga Tiki Taka Dina Jagud Jagud Jantari Kuntari Kuku Jaga Kinaka Dita Te Tata Hata Te Te. If I have to say, it may have him Taka Dimbi Taka Chandu Taka Dimbi Taka Chandu. It is just going on as Taka Dimbi Taka Chandu Taka Dimbi Taka Chandu. But look at the beautification of the syllables there. Tangurtonga Tiki Taka Dina Jagud Jagud Jantari Kuntari Kuku Jaga Kinaka Dita Te. So that beautification of syllables, the articulation of syllables is what is more important. That makes Kuchipudi unique in all the other dance forms, I would say. And also the next jati where the flavor completely changes. What is the flavor? Can jati depict the flavor in the sense? Yes, that jati also depicts the flavor. Tonga, tonga is what is the jati. You don't find these syllables in any other dance forms probably. Tonga, the flavor of the jati itself is the tandavam. Like we have been talking about Nataraja. Tonga, 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 todiki, taka, todo, dohatto, din, the di, tahidatam. What's the beautification of the syllable? And then the second half goes as ta kita jam, tata kita jam, takita, 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 tadikita tum, ta kita jam, tata kita jam, taka dimi, taka jandu, taka dimi, ta kita jam, tata kita jam, takita, taka dimi, tadigina, tata. This is looking as if it is very simple jati, but there are a lot of intricacies in that. Intricacies in the sense there is a random change of gatis. Now, what is gati? Gati depicts the number of aksharams per beat. In the sense, if I am going 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, that is Chaturasra gati. What would I say? If I am going 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, that is Tisra gati, I would say. That is Khanda gati, I would say. So there is a random change of gatis in this particular jati. If you observe, ta kita jam, tata kita jam, takita 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 tadiginatam. The change from takita jam to takita is what is important here. And then the second half, takita jam, tatakita jam, takadhimmi, takajandu, takadhimmi, ta. The same count has a different rearrangement here. Third time, again the same thing happens. Same count has a different rearrangement. See, takita jam, tatakita jam, takita takita takita, tadiginatam, takita jam, tatakita jam. Takadhimmi, takajandu, takadhimmi, takita jam, tatakita jam, takita takadhimmi, tadigina, tata. So takita jam is common in all these things. The second half of takita 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 tadiginatam, we have the same count and the different rearrangement for this. In the sense, if I have to say takita, 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 4 takitas, 8 4s, 3s, 12. And then second time we have takadhimi, 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 3 4s, 12. Takita, takadhimi, tadiginata. Takita, takadhimi, tadigina, 3, 4, and 5. The same rearrangement. Watch out for the beautification of this jati, where we are fed or we are being given the information about random change in gati, first point. The second point, same count, maybe repeated thrice, or same count may be rearranged for 3 times. So these are all the information that we have to note. And this has to be applied somewhere. If this is not applied, then there is no meaning that we are given this information, right? So this application, where is this application done? We'll find a lot where this application has been done. Where, for example, you take your Dashavataram, you take your Ramayana Shattam, you take your Koluvaitiva Rangasai. These are all the things where there is a random change in gatis from one to other. Suppose Dashavataram you take, the last jati, last part of your Dashavataram jati, we have changeover from Misram to Chaturasram. And also, like for example, so the changeover from Misram to Chaturasram. Or if you take your Ramayana Shabdam, Nadiri diri diri nam nandiri diri tata kita kata kata diginatam tam tatadinda ta tam tatadinda ta. So there is a random changeover from Misram to Chaturasram or to Chaturasram to Tisram. Tak dhanak jam ta tajan dari dhanak kinak jam ta tajan dari tak dhanak jam dhanak kinak jam ta 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 dinda tatta dinda ta 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 dinda takata diginatum tak dhanak jam ta kitaka taddi 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 ginna tajam dhan. So there is a random changeover of Chaturasram to Tisram and then Tisram to Chaturasram also. After completing this jati, we have a changeover from Tisram to Chaturasram. Why that has been happening? Because that, in my observation, Kuchipudi was a theatrical art form where it was performed just before the normal people. So to attract those people, these random changeovers help a lot. And also you have to be authentic, or you have to be some what do I say, vidushi. So, or you have to make some vidvat in that. So that vidvat is what is this changeover in the same talam. And then to attract the normal people, we have the changeover again. So we have both the things in Kuchipudi, particularly saying. Suppose if I have to say, and also if I have to say, these Kuchipudi people will have been singing a lot. What is the singing happening in the sense? If you see these all jatis that I have depicted now, they'll be sung along with the Shruti. They'll not be said as if this jati ta ku dhannaku jam ta. No. Ta ku dhannaku jam ta. They'll be sung as if it is a song, it is not jati. Sir, why this changeover has been happening, or why this changeover can happen? Is this correct or is this wrong? And why should it be wrong is the question, first point. So, for example, if you take your first prayer itself, Amba Paraku, Devi Paraku is the wording, right? That Amba Paraku, Devi Paraku itself has been depicted in different talams. Amba Paraku, Devi Paraku, Mammeluma Saradamba Paraku. So that is in Mishram. Amba Paraku, Devi Paraku, Mammeluma Saradamba Paraku is in Chaturasram. Amba Akita Tataya Tataya Yenuchunu Amba Amba Paraku Devi Paraku Mammeluma Saradamba Paraku. So Sahityam has also different talams in it. Why does the jati can't be depicted in other talams? That is the main question. So Kuchipudi has all the transitions. Also, we have all the information about the different talams. Also, we have different vidvat samandhichina the authenticity in it. Talam, different talams. If you take Sankirnam also, you don't find any dance form where you can find Sankirnam jatis particularly, or you don't find any. And also particularly these syllables, particularly in the Kuchipudi dance form, where the syllables may go with the jatis itself. Syllables may enter the, like for example, did dina kadataga 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 did ta did dina kadataga did tai did dina kadataga did ta. It started with did dina kadataga and it ended with did dina kadataga. Also, you have a lot of jatis like that. And these are all the information that have been given to us with lot of authenticity. So we have to be careful with handling all these things. It is not that we don't know all these things, but we have to look into this angle of this particular angle of these jatis, so that we would also, know about the talam or know about the nuances of the dance form itself. Yashoda garu inకేమైనా చెప్పాలా?
Thank you, Chandrakant. So our title said the bhava in rhythm, but while you sang and while you did the rhythmic patterns itself, the bhava has been communicated. Thank you very much. For me, this session is just a perfect blend of history, theory, and hands-on talam, hands-on knowledge. So where Chandrakant's role comes in is a person like me will say, okay, all this knowledge is fantastic. It fills my heart. So when I say so, he comes in and says, oh, now get to work. Actually execute the talam, As a dancer, you have to be out there. So that's where he comes in. This is perfect. Thank you very much, Sumi and Chandrakant. We'll leave the floor to the participants. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot. I'm always happy to see our students here. So while you are forming your questions, can we talk to Bhavna? Bhavna, you want to say something about your master's program experience that you
Yes, sure. Namaste, everyone. My name is Bhavana. I'm completing my final semester of my master's program in Kuchipudi this coming fall. The presentations we just saw from Sumitra ma'am and Chandrakant garu are just a preview to what I've been able to experience in the last 4.5 years. I've been doing kind of a class per semester. It's been a great way to explore the history of Kuchipudi and also its applications in a very nuanced way. I think exploring things like rhythm, composers, compositions, kinesthetics, and also the history of other Indian classical dance forms has lent a lot of context to the way I practice Kuchipudi and the way I perform it. So I've definitely learned a lot, and what's amazing is that there's never an end to the amount you can learn. There's always little topics that you can delve very deep into, and that's what I was thinking about, especially in Sumitra ma'am's presentation. So it's been a wonderful learning experience and excited to continue learning.
Thank you so much, Bhavna. Yes, as Bhavna said, what you just heard is a teaser for the masters. So when you sit in class, it just keeps oozing their knowledge. So anyway, now thank you, Bhavna. I'm sorry I caught you off guard like that. Cornered you. Any questions from or any observations from the participants? So while, somebody unmuted. Somebody was saying.
Is raising hand.
Yeah, please. Evaru? Divya. Divya, yes. Please speak, Divya.
Okay, ma'am. I had a question for Sumitra, ma'am. We saw in the brass Nataraja that before there was no ring around the Nataraja, and then in the later version there was. So, what is the meaning of the ring, and why did it appear?
Can you repeat it? Your audio is not clear, sorry. Say something again, Sumi.
Yeah, sure.
No, she's asking you the meaning of the Prabhavali and why did it come into.
So it is a symbolic representation of birth and rebirth. Birth and death, the cyclic thing that we have now. So that represents that Prabhavali.
So why was it? Why did it appear in the later form that we saw? Like what in the older forms we didn't see it.
Not able to hear you properly. Can you repeat it? It's raining heavily, so with the rainwater sound, I'm not able to hear properly. Yeah, can you repeat? Or can you type it, ma? That would be much more easy for me to read it and meanwhile, I'll be asking Ram Raj garu in the chat box. I see Dravidian south of India's god, is there hardly any depiction of Nagara North? So I made a disclaimer in the beginning itself that I am confining my presentation only to the Nataraja sculptures of South India, to the Tamil Nadu region only, sir. And then, of course, I have taken some from Karnataka and one or two from Telangana region, Pillaramari, and of course, Odisha also, to depict the evolution of Nataraja image. Yeah, given 2-3 hours of time, yes, we can cover entire Indian architecture and how the north and south really developed this Nataraja cult. Sorry for I couldn't include Dravidian or South Indian sculptures. Keeping in mind the 30 minutes of time, I had to really cut down so many slides. That's what I have told you. Thank you so much.
So, Divya is asking you why it has come into, why the Prabhavali has come. Was there any reason for the formation of the Prabhavali?
See, all these cultural images were taken a cue from the literature, the existing literature. That's what I gave you as my introduction. The Tamil literature, the Sanskrit literature, and the Saivism literature have contributed enormous information about the Shiva and his tattva. So that tattvam, when you understand that tattvam for each individual based on his maturity levels, Lord Shiva has revealed his form in that way. So they have conceived it in that way, and they just presented it just like how we choreograph to a given piece. Based on our understanding, based on our genius, we would like to choreograph it, right? Some would based on Nrtta, some would develop it into Sanchari, some would just dance like a Nritya, right? Similarly, even the iconography, we have several schools even in iconography, like taking Samarangana Sutradhara, which is like our Natya Shastra to the iconography, field of iconography. Taking Samarangana Sutradhara into consideration, the architecture will be different altogether. Even the dynasties like Vijayanagara architecture is totally different. Hoysala is different. Chola, Chera, Pandya, Rashtrakuta, everybody's Kakatiyas, each and every Vijayanagara, each and every architecture is different from one to another. That is what I was referring to Pandyas. They wanted totally a different kind of architecture altogether from that of Cholas. That's the reason they just made everything opposite to the Cholas architecture. Why? Means it depends on the individual's genius, creativity, and how he understood the tattva, philosophy of Nataraja. So we talk about, that's the reason I gave you the introductory words. Some would look at as a Linga Tattva, some would look at the Panchabhuta Tattva, some would look at the Panchakriya Tattva, some would look at the entire the 5 Panchakriyas as a dance form. So taking cue from those elements, the Tattva of Shiva has been presented in different forms. That's the reason in some of the images you will find Shiva with weapons. But as for Nataraja is concerned, we only have the Dhamaru, which indicates the creation. Right? So the conception of the Nataraja image itself is different from architecture to architecture, individual to individual, poet to poet, like that. That goes on, we can talk volumes about that.
Yeah, thank you, Sumi. Yes, Nidhi, you are absolutely right. It is a reflection of the indigenous culture there. And also, we are not even sure if the earlier images were called Nataraja. And it could have been forms of the different forms of Shiva depicted in different forms itself, while dancing, because Shiva is movement himself. So it's just movement.
The earlier Shiva is called as Pashupati. So when we talk about Pashupati, so we only say that, in those days, when we started the cultivation, see, taking hold of Mahisha itself was a big achievement. That's the reason we worship Mahishasuramardini. And Shiva being riding on a Nandi, we call him as Pasupati according to some of the people. But according to aestheticians, our mind is like a Pashu, even though we are human beings, but we are not being human. We are all Pasus. So,
yeah, that is
for us, he is the Pati, hence he is called as Pasupati.
So how
Yes.
you conceive the concept that differs. And
Yeah,
can you explain
absolutely.
how
And
Nataraja Iconography
what was interesting about what you said also, Sumi, in the I would not call it sophistication of Shiva. I would just say the different versions of presenting
exactly,
Shiva, because
exactly.
I
How
absolutely
Shiva has
love that.
revealed himself to that individual. Like we see so many Ramayanas. When Valmiki has written Ramayana, why do we need Bhaskara Ramayana? Why do we need somebody else's Ramayana? We have
Yeah,
several Ramayanas, right? So
yeah, because
Adhyatma Ramayana like that.
and for me, absolutely that nice round fat Shiva is is most endearing and
Even the
lovely.
Prabhavali shape was totally different from that of oval shape, then the oblique shape, and then this finally the circle. So when
So
it
that
comes to the modern times, they were talking about, they even drew the star shape, talking it as a total constellation, and Chidambaram being the epicenter of the entire energy, from where the entire creation has been started. This is what the modern science says. We
yes.
have to accept it.
At the end of the day, we are also talking about iconography, which is art itself. It also goes to talk about the material you are sculpting the idol from. Is it sand? Is it stone? Is it bronze? So that material also lends itself to the shape of Shiva that is coming across. Now, it's very
That's also
interesting that today's Shiva that we see, which you say is today's form, somehow visually that is the form most male dancers and even female dancers want to be like, the aspiration. Even female dancers want to have that male very fit uh, Shiva's figure and those images. So this could be Nataraja, but I were the others called Nataraja is still a question. He is Shiva. He's a different form of Shiva. And do you want to make him a dancer? You can. You have no escape because he dances. He
so.
dances what he
If
dances.
you get him
Yes.
as an icon of dynamism, that's the best part of it.
Yes. Yes. Pavani, Srilata,
Yeah.
thank you for
Hello.
coming.
Hello,
Such a
Andy.
pleasure to be
Hi,
that
Akka.
you are here.
I have a question for Chandrakant Garu.
Yes, please.
Chandrakant Garu, when you are going for the variations in gatis, say in Aditala, we are going for different gatis. Is there any rule that you have to follow? After 3, it should be 4, it should be 5. Is there any, rule that you can skip from 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 or 3 to 8, something like that?
As far as my knowledge is concerned, there is no rules, and there are no rules actually. As long as it fits in the talam.
Okay.
Fitting to the talam, aesthetically it should be fine. Suppose if I'm going with tadiginnata, 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 I'm saying it as Tisram and Khandam. And it is fitting in the talam, and also the transition is also good.
Yes.
Or else if I go tadiginnata, 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 ante that is not fitting as if it is a talam, or it is not logically good also. So as long as the logic fits, as long as it is fitting in the talam, then that is fine. Even the transition of these particular as I have said, the Misram to Chatrasram transitions and Chatrasram to Tisram transitions. If you take our Dashavatar Jatis, the transition is just going on with the flow there. Only the talam is changing, and our count is changing there, but jati is not changing, and the flow of the jati is not changing.
Yes.
But in the case of the other jatis, where the Ramayana Shabdam or the other Kolovaitiva jatis, the gati has been changing. In the sense, ta ku dhanna ku jamta, tadi 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 tadinginata jamta ku dhanna ku jamta. Talam is not changing. My gati is changing.
Gati is changing.
And it is about to me to whether to change the flow of the talam or to change the gati. if I'm fine with all these things, and if I'm okay with all these things, if I know what I'm doing right, then everything is fine. Only thing is I have to be in a position to explain to the other person that I have done this. But that is the main concept.
Thank you, Chandrakant. Pratyusha had a very insightful question. How has the Nataraja image influenced modern interpretations of Indian art globally? Do you want to answer that, Sumi? I could take on after you answer it.
Please, you carry on. Modern
So-
thing, anything that I want you to step in.
No, this is a very interesting question, Pratyusha, because somehow Nataraja, my mother always says, "Meeru దేవుళ్ళని కూడా వాడుకుంటారు మీ dancers" అని చెప్పి. So somehow Nataraja has become the brand ambassador for most of our art forms. So Chennai airport having an image of Nataraja, Delhi having Nataraja, or paintings having Nataraja. It is good. We celebrate him as the dancer, the god of dance, and all the philosophy that is encompassed in him. But you must remember that somehow we like what, I hate this word, the sophisticated Nataraja icon that we have today becomes the icon. We are not willing to take the Orissa Shiva that Sumi showed in the beginning, because it kind of aligns with nationalist European tastes of a very refined, slim, presentable Nataraja, clean Shiva. So he becomes the tourism ambassador for India, the cultural icon for India. We don't talk about the tantric side of our own indigenous side. So yes, he has come into modern conversation, and he has become the go-to for Indian dances, even though what you dance really is not what Nataraja danced, but somehow he is told that he is the god of Indian dances. We'll accept it, but there are also women dancers, so let's give that importance to women dancing also. In art, what is the place he has taken in modern art? This is how it is. He occupies spaces even in commercial areas. So he has become our brand ambassador. Yeah.
Thank
I hope
you,
I
ma'am.
answered
Yeah.
it.
Yes, I got my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Pratisha, you must tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Pratyusha, and my guru's name is Dr. Sita Vupala. And yeah, and now I'm in Texas. Like, I'm living in Texas, and I do take classes for my students. They have many questions regarding what is Kuchipudi, why do we have to put this posture, what are hand mudras, and they're in learning stage.
Yes.
So yeah, and they're planning to write the certification as well.
So why
yeah,
are
that's
you not doing your masters with us, Pratyusha?
I've did my diploma from Poti Sriramalu College,
Perfect.
like back in India. So now I have to plan doing the masters as well. Like
Now,
doing it.
fall
Yes.
is the time. This
Yes.
is the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll type my number here, Pratyusha. You can contact
Sure.
the tiny URL. You can do that. You can also get in touch with me.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
I am Yashoda Thakur. So you can get in
Okay.
touch with me whenever you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning Kuchipudi since 22 years. Like, so at
So you should be
my
doing
age
your
of 10 years old.
masters.
Yes, I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
will.
okay with it, please give me your contact also, Pratyusha, only if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, sure. I'll share it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
just
Thank you,
to
Pratyusha.
give your opinion about the modernity, when we talk about the gender equality, we also have a Nataraja image,
Yeah.
which is an Ardhanarishwar. So we have Ardhanarishwara image of Nataraja. Everything is same. But only
Right.
thing is, to the left, we have the image of Parvati.
Okay. Got it.
Modern thought, talking about the gender equality.
Right,
Very
right. That's right.
So
Okay.
I know we
Thank
are
you.
bordering on the time, but I still want to know my participants. Nidhi, you want to tell us about yourself, Nidhi?
Sure, ma'am. Yeah.
Ah.
I'm Srinidhi. I'm learning Kuchipudi. I have learned in my childhood for a few years. Then I had to take a break for studies. So then I resumed in 2015, and I'm learning from the past 10 years. And I'm learning currently from Sandhya Saki Garu from Hyderabad. And I'm planning to do my master's in Kuchipudi. I just want to know the nuances behind that, because as I'm going learning, and I feel that not a single moment, not a single gesture has been done without any reasoning in many aspects. Not in
Absolutely.
one aspect, like in many aspects. So I just want to go and learn
Yes.
more, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Srinidhi. Can I speak to Vaidehi? Would you be comfortable to talk?
I think she's a Chinnaswara student from Vizag Kalakshetra, if I'm right.
Mari maatladandi. Why are you not talking
I'm
to
not
us?
sure whether is she the same Vaidehi or not. That's
Vaidehi Nandu. Yeah. I think Sujata garu kuda I don't.
Sujata, of course, she's my twin sister.
Oh, okay. Okay, Vaidehi Nandu. You want to tell us about yourselves? It's not fair that we talk about ourselves and you don't tell us about yourselves. Hi, Nandu. Yeah.
Can you see, ma'am?
I can't
Hi,
see.
ma'am.
Yeah, now I can see. Yes.
Yeah, it is a very good presentation. I was watching throughout this. So my observation is some of the Nataraja postures, which is being shown. It was more or like a connecting to Karnas as well. There's no questions as such, but observations are really good, and the presentations are really good. That was
Where are you logging in? Where are you logging in from?
UK, ma'am. Bristol
Nandini.
Ninchi.
This is our Nandini. Okay.
Uh,
Yes. You're our student from UK. It must be the middle of the night or something for you.
yeah, early morning too.
Thank you for logging in.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. So thank you all for logging in and contributing to the lectures now. Sriram, thank you for logging in and giving us your inputs.
No, thank you, Andy. This is Kiran Gandham.
Yes.
Logging from California, Andy. Yeah. Yes, last time I spoke to you,
Yes.
I learned when I was like 5. I'm much older now. It's been a while and I started learning again here, but somehow I discontinued after my son was born. He's 11 now. My husband encourages me to keep in touch with my art form. So basically, I want to start with the certificate program and see how it goes. So I'll talk about the details, and I need to get more details from you.
Call me right away after this, Kiran. We can have a conversation now after this because summer semester admissions are going on now and the semester begins next week. So why waste time when you have a supportive family? You should start right away.
Yes, and thank you so much. And thanks for the beautiful presentation of Nataraja Andy, also by Sumitra Garu, and Chandrakant Garu gave us a very in-depth knowledge of Talams. Thank you so much, Andy. Thanks for the lovely presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for coming in. And of course, Mamata and Harimadhav Garu, Thank you, Padmini. Thank you for being there and starting the recording. I forgot in the beginning. Okay, simple versus complex Natarajas, little tradition and great tradition, and also Sanskritization, big time, Sri Ram. Oh, that's a huge thing that I can talk about. Anyway, yes. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Namaskar.
Thank you.